40.
7 p.m. Wednesday, September 17th, the Board of Finance for the town of Madison is now in session. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Back to Gina, read for me. Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Any motion to approve the minutes from the July 16th, 25. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw there was,
The second, that would be the, so, okay, sorry. Go ahead, John.
page 5. Bring one with me. I know there was a, error. It was on the vote. You look at item 8, halfway down on page 5. Mr. Picard, Mr. Gordon, Ms. Hessian, Dr. Muller, Rasmussen, and Ms. Stein voted in favor of the motion with Mr. Rasmus opposed. Obviously, I didn't vote twice.
Correct.
So I don't know if it was, who voted? Did Bob vote on that?
Oh, I don't know.
Go back and look. So what I suggest is we correct it, that is brought to attention, we correct,
Yeah.
go back and look for the proper names with the proper vote. So we're gonna approve the minutes as amended. So John, what I want you to do is just ask to amend the minutes to reflect the corrected vote with the corrected members.
Okay, a motion to correct the minutes with the proper vote.
So that is motion made, second.
Second.
All right, so all in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention, that motion carries. Here's comments. I know Katie is her son, so she's not here this evening. She did let me know, so we want to, I believe it's in California. I know it's not easy, but thanks for letting me know. As far as my only comments and thought about it is, you know, we've discussed this and you brought this to my attention during the last budget. It's about the undesignated fund balance. What I'd like to do is have some sort of discussion, begin some sort of discussion. I think we just do another review of the financials. If that's right with our board here. Just start the discussion. There's a difference between the fund balance and the undesignated fund balance. And so I just want to start that discussion going. I know we talked about back in April, May. Any finance members comments? I'm going to go from my right to my left. Matt, Jude, John,
I do not.
Bob,
I'm all set, thank you.
and we have our first selectwoman, Peggy Lyons, is virtual, and Peggy, you're up.
Okay, great. Just want to highlight, I think you guys didn't have an August meeting, correct? So just to obviously highlight a couple of things that have happened. I mean, first of all, most exciting thing is I think the opening of our new school, Neck River Elementary School, and the kind of whole renewal plan with the closure of some schools and the opening of the new school and the expansion of Brown. Everything went, I think, pretty well. There's always little bumps in the road on these things sometimes during the opening, but I think the first couple of days of school went well. So I just want to compliment the Board of Education and the school superintendent, and then all the staff that helped make it happen. The Madison Police Department. I know that traffic has been some concerns, particularly with the new school opening, and there's a new 4-way stop now at that intersection. So, but all exciting to see that happening. Wanted to also mention, I'm sure you all saw that the town did release a what we call an expression of interest for the academy property, and that will be something the board will be getting responses back by the end of October, and that will be discussed in November about if there's any options available to that. The board at our last meeting did request that we spend some additional funding to get a more refined estimate on demolition for the academy property. So that will be coming forward at the same time frame. So we'll have a much more detailed cost estimate for demolition, as well as hearing about any interest from the public. So that was launched right before Labor Day weekend. And then also just want to note, we're doing the groundbreaking on the Emergency Operations Center next week. So it's nice to see that project moving forward. And thank you to both boards and to the town, for supporting the additional funds required so that project could move forward. Just happy to see that moving forward. And that was moved, the groundbreaking was originally going to be on the 23rd. I think it's been moved to the 22nd, or do I have that flipped? I think it's been moved to the 22nd now of September. Yeah.
It's the
So
22nd.
yeah, Joe Courtney will be attending that, and just a nice kickoff for a project that is important for all of us. So just wanted to highlight that, all the good things going on right now. And that's my update.
Any questions for the first selectman? Thank you, Peggy. Citizens comments, anybody from the public who would like to speak? The second time, geez, anybody virtual?
So I just want to say I'm Ross Cama, chair of the America 250 Madison 200s. When you get to that agenda item, if you'd like a report, I can give it now or whenever.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody virtual, Gene?
No, there is nobody virtually.
Second time, third time, public information session is now closed. You have item 7, discuss the action approve the appropriation of $25,000 for expenses related to the Madison 200 America 250 out of committee activities approved by the Board of Selectmen July 21st, 25, and then you're here to elaborate that. We need that. I'd like to get that in the form of a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. That first, Bob second, do discussion or comments, John?
Yeah. Why wasn't this in the original budget? I mean, we knew this was coming, right? Or did we make a decision afterwards to do that? Or
It's more after.
It was afterwards on the amount. We didn't know how the committee was gonna start off.
okay,
And it is a one-time
yeah.
building
understood.
the base and then it just,
Just to comment, the board, their committee wasn't even formed when the budget was put together. And then this is considered like a non-recurring expense. Obviously, it's kind of a one-off, so it didn't seem appropriate to put it in the budget. So Roz we started having these conversations about, seed money once the committee was formed and they started meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments? As long as you're okay with not saying anything, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention, that motion carries. Thanks,
you.
ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And all come and have fun.
Oh, we will.
Say that was easy.
It was easy. Bob's on our committee too.
Item 8, accept the donation from the Madison Host Company, number 1, amount of $200,000 for the EOC Firehouse Expansion Project for the Board of Selectmen on August 12, 25. Could I get that in the form of motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, John. Can I get a second? Second by Matt. Discussion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Exactly.
These are funds that they have raised over the past several years towards this project. So we appreciate their efforts in doing that.
Like John said, thank you. So yeah, very nice. Any further comments or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? That's that motion carried. Item 9, discuss and take action to approve releasing funds from the planning reserve in an amount not to exceed $14,800 to fund the completion of the WPCA wastewater facilities plan, which was approved by the Board of Selectmen on September 9th, 25. Take that in the form of a motion, please. Second, motion made by Jude, second by Matt. I know some questions on this discussion.
Yeah, I'll start off. So thank you for coming tonight.
Tom.
Yes, I'm Tom Hanson, chairman of WPCA,
Mhm.
and of course, Peggy has worked
Mhm.
closely on this particular issue.
So this is the first thing we're hearing about it within a Board of Finance meeting. So can you
Just give us a background.
fill us in?
Sure. The WPCA is a 5-member board. So we don't have a budget or any capital or anything. It's all volunteer work. And we received a grant 2 years ago from the state to perform what they call a facilities plan, which is our purview is to look at wastewater management in the town. To be, and to make sure that the health department is managing it in accordance with state requirements. And of course, what we do now is it's all septic systems. So we felt that it was, the last time we did a quote unquote facilities plan was back in the 80s. A lot of things were going on then. Old Sabre was supposed to build a plant, there was bulk of sewers, a lot of different things. So the WPCA worked out a budget with the selectmen to bring a consultant on board to help us do a planning study to look at current situation in the town, where there are problem areas with regard to wastewater disposal, and what some of the alternatives might be to mitigate those problems. Of course, Madison still doesn't have sewers, and will never have, probably never have sewers, because there's just no treatment plant anywhere. So we are in the process, we hired Weston and Sampson engineers to facilitate the study, look at conditions and options and to be basically our liaison with the state, because the state said we will fund the study at 55% grant. And you know, it had to meet their requirement, what was in the scope. So we did that. We basically completed the study about almost a year ago, but we gave a copy to the state back then in an informal draft report, because we didn't want to really come to the selectmen and everybody and say, this is our plan, let's go with it. We thought it'd be wise to get some feedback from the state first. And they had a person who was responsible for that. She was on maternity leave. It's just been a long kind of a seesaw. We did get some comments from the state. We asked our consultant to address them. Our consultant said, well, you know, yeah, we want to address them too, but you know, it's not quite in our scope, but we didn't anticipate that we were going to have this interim step. So the amendment is for covering those expenses, which would also be eligible for the grant fund also. And Peggy, by all means.
I also recognize Trent Joseph's here from the Department of Health. It's Trent, I don't know if we need you yet. I just want to recognize that you are here. Okay. I'm sorry, Tom.
Oh, Trent, Trent, yeah. Hello, Trent.
Hey, Tom.
Go ahead, Tom, continue.
Well,
I just want to recognize that
just
you
want
were
to give
here.
you a background. The WPCA, like I said, we have no real budget. There was a budget for this project through the select and the Board of Finance. So that's where we are. And Trent can probably get a little bit more light on where the number came from.
Okay, this WPCA is mandated to have that commissioned by the state, correct? Is that correct?
The study, the plan is we haven't had it done since the 1980s. So we're required to have the authority. I think the WPCA,
That's what I mean.
we don't, yeah.
The authority.
Yeah. But the plan had not been updated since the 80s. And so this is a much larger project. And I think we had budgeted 160 or 175,000 that was through the planning reserve. We get reimbursed for half of it. And we've actually received most of that 50% back already. Stacy, remind me, right? So these are just incremental funds to get us to the final stage so that the Board of Selectmen can then accept the report, the final report that reflects all the state comments. You know, we had public hearings. The board has kind of given some, you know, feedback at times over the last year. So we want it all incorporated in the final report. And then this will get us to the final presentation and acceptance by the Board of Selectmen, this additional 14,800. Keeping in mind, we will also get 50% of that reimbursed as well for this. So it's really costing us half of that, correct? The 1480 is 800 is the just to get us to the finish line. Then there's going to be, once the board accepts it, we're going to have to go through a whole ordinance process for this. And that will be a separate budget that we'll have to figure out how we're going to tackle that and how we want to handle it. And that will be interactive, Trent will be leading kind of that, and some of it will be worked through his department, and some of it will require experts from Weston and Sampson.
So just for clarification from my own knowledge, that the total budget was 170. I know you didn't have a budget. It was
150 was approved.
150 was approved then. This is in addition to get this over the finish line, for lack of it, and we get 55% reimbursement.
We have received 68,000.
Thank you. So this last 15,000, I think it's 14,800, would be the end, for the study that then gets presented to the board and public, correct?
Yeah, and I believe in that extra amount. I think we're gonna have one more public presentation, I believe.
To the board.
To the board.
Oh, to the board. Okay, that'd be the public.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Matt, go
so
ahead.
just point of clarification. So this is something that's mandated, but it hasn't been done in over 40 years.
No, the commission, I think, is required to have it.
The studies are a good idea to do, but I don't think they're absolutely mandated that they do the study.
Well, let me clarify that a little bit. Every town in the state is required to have a water pollution control authority that is basically DEP's eyes and ears with regard to wastewater disposal in the town. Whether they're sewers or septic or what have you. And the WPCA is responsible for writing a water pollution control plan, which is then administered and carried out by the Department of Health, the Health Department. And the last time we actually tweaked the water pollution control plan was probably 10 years ago with some minor changes. But it's still based on a study that was done in the 80s, which at that time was called a sewer avoidance. And since then, a lot of changes have happened. I mean, we've had a lot of infilling, we've got more development, more people. Lots haven't gotten any bigger in the problem areas. We've got sea level rise, we've got salt marsh diving. So the WPCA has been lobbying for quite a while to do a new facilities plan to say, what can we do? The WPCA's only concern really is wastewater presentation and pollution abatement. That's really what we want. We don't necessarily want sewers, we don't want this, we want to make sure that the town is undertaking its requirement to manage all the wastewater. So the WPCA is a mandated responsibility for the town. The facility plan is kind of as needed or as seen fit or a periodic update. And although the WPCA can make tweaks and changes along the way, we felt it was time to bring an expert in and really say, what do you want the next 20 years to look like?
So thank you. That's absolutely clarifying. The other question I have, and maybe it's more so for Trent, is at the end of the study, is there going to be executable items that we have to do? Because I did review the public meeting that was the public hearing that was given, and the question I had was for homes that have cesspools or something like that. Are we going to be Trent? Will we have to have those homes change? Like, what's after we do the study? Is it just we did it and we put it on the shelves, or do we have to execute on it?
That's a good question. So I just kind of want to reiterate the process of where we are today. Signing this with Weston and Sampson in 2022. We've had a lot of analysis of the different areas of concern in town. And it's been through multiple iterations from me and Tom. We've provided a lot of feedback because it's unique to Madison, and I think a lot of the areas that we saw, areas of concern, specifically, we could call it Neck Road neighborhoods. Some of those that are really like I guess adjacent to the Long Island Sound and from elevation could be problematic. When you look at those septic systems, they're unique because, there's a good percentage of seasonal homes. Some of the homes have updated septic systems. Some of them may be on cesspools. So what this facilities plan, what we have here, we just gotta finish the round of DEP comments, and do some tweaking to the plan. Well, Weston and Sampson has to do that. That's why we're here today. It's gonna call out implementation phase, and that's the next phase that kind of explains what that looks like. It's gonna be a little bit of leverage that it provides to the local health department with some local ordinance and requirements to homeowners in those areas. And there's gonna be somewhat of a timeline for homeowners who need to update from a cesspool to what is a traditional septic system, which is a septic tank and proprietary leaching system. So I think it's going to be step by step based on those areas of concern. It can't just all roll out at once. We're going to phase it in.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes, follow up on,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, do you want?
Jump the gun.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm late.
I didn't even mention that. So you just brought that up.
Jefferson
said
what I missed.
Go ahead.
Anyway, thank you for coming tonight. I just want to follow up on something that Madison. So for $7,400, which will be our net cost, we're going to have a plan. Correct?
Well, it won't be
Yeah.
just that 7,000 plus what we already spent.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So, Mr. Joseph mentioned something about issue. This question would be, what's in the plan? And do we know what's going to be required of homeowners or anything? And what the timing is like for, I have a cesspool, I'm gonna have to get an engineered septic or ATU by such and such a date. Is that enumerated and listed in the plan?
So may I maybe answer this? Because this is really going to be an ordinance process. This has been going on for 3 or 4 years. This has been budgeted for 3 or 4 years, this study. And there's been public hearings about it. And what this does is the PCA is going to make a recommendation with the state, reflecting the state comments to the Board of Selectmen. In that recommendation, there is going to be a recommendation that we set up these different, oh my God, I'm forgetting what they're called. What are they called? Wastewater management districts, right? And that some actions should be taken in those wastewater management districts. The Board of Selectmen then is going to go through the policy of what that's going to be, what the timing is going to be, how you pay for it. That's all going to be subject to a lot of public discussion. And so it's going to come through the ordinance drafting process. So the experts are saying, this is what you need to do. And this is what the WPCA says we need to do. And then we as the Board of Selectmen are then going to have to step back and say, what can we do? What's practical and what's pragmatic based on the resources that the town has and, in the public interest. So, there are specific action items recommended in that study. But, we have to go through an ordinance process to come up with a final, what's going to actually happen at the end of this process. It is going to be a big discussion because it is going to be substantial in terms of some of the recommendations that are being made if you are in one of those wastewater management districts. But tonight, really, I just want to say that tonight, we're just saying we need $7,500 more to complete a report that we already have approved to conduct this process. So we're not validating the report, the outcome of the report tonight by voting on the money, I guess.
I understand the problem with the expenditure. It's just basically the plan is going to make certain recommendations and it'll be up to the Board of Selectmen to transfer those into some kind of ordinance that has to be built. Is that a safe way?
And if I could just.
1 second, I just want to comment.
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry, Tom, but
No, go ahead.
yeah, so there's only 7,500 more, but these are fair questions. This is, John's being pushed forward, the other one's shot, so there's nothing wrong with that. I'll bang you out of order if you're asking something. Go ahead.
And just the report, once it's approved by the state, that opens the door to additional funding. So during the implementation step, during the ordinance process or staffing or anything like that, that becomes eligible for state participation because it was done under an approved wastewater facilities. So we're getting way ahead of ourselves. We don't really have that plan out there yet. But just so that you know the foresight.
I don't want to get too much into the weeds in this, but I think the concern is with the cost of the whole water
Sure.
thing. I know there's there was always, years ago, there was CW clean water funding, they had 2% loans, there were a lot of other things out there. So I think we're not anywhere near there yet, but I understand the questions and the concern. John?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say this would tighten up regulation. I mean, I think that's a fair statement, right? And when we say that these are required, were we required in 2022 to start this, or did we just decide that it was time, or?
We decided it was time.
Hmm.
The water pollution control made the initiative. Now,
We're also being proactive.
right, because we also.
We have other towns that weren't proactive and they ended up having a lot of state intervention. So this was, let's be planning ahead for the future and make sure we control our destiny to a certain extent, right? And that was the discussion I know we had back a few years ago about moving forward with this.
Any other questions? Comments? We have a motion to approve. Releases funds from the plan reserve not to exceed 14,800. It was seconded. No more discussion. All in favor, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Abstention, that motion carries. Thanks, Tom, and
Thank you.
Frank and Greg. Anybody else is there?
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Let's take action.
Thanks, Trent.
And I understand it's all volunteer.
Tom.
Thank you.
It is.
I know. Item 10, discuss take action to approve the return of $79,909 from CIP residual project balances to the master account in the CNRE fund approved by the board of selectmen August 12th, 25. Can I get that in the form of a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, John. Can I get a second? John, John M. Thank you. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstention, the motion carries. We have item 11, tax collection report. Any guys? Was good? 12, review the financials. So here's, and you brought this up. We had this discussion under John, everybody brought it up back in the budget deliberations. Well, what to do. So we have the sheet in front of us. Just walk us really quick through the unaudited fund balance, the projected, and then the unassigned fund balance. There's a big difference between, the fund balance and what, the undesignated fund balance. Good.
Okay, so our anticipated audited final unassigned fund balance is 23.8 million. We did approve the 500,000 to offset the mill rate, so we take that off right away. We've already approved a couple of special appropriations, some big ones, so those are coming off. So we end up, after those two special appropriations that we did in July, with 20,477. I just threw in an estimated 500 for next fiscal year. That's always up for discussion, but I think the big thing to highlight, yes, we have 20 million, but we also have 1.5 months that we all decided, or you all decided to keep in reserve. So if we take that away, hold that for emergencies, savings, after that, we're at about 8.4. The items on the bottom are just things we've been talking about and trying to keep a running list. Yeah, but as of right now, my projection before we finish this year is about 8. Just over and above the 1.5 months that we want to keep.
And that 1.5 months is how important, but it's also bond rating agencies. There's a lot to that. It's not something that you want to have to use as a first year. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah, and no, just one other thing to highlight. Yeah, that's totally bond rating agencies. GASB, they're always, 2 months.
Yeah.
So we kind of compromised and said 1.5 months. Our current policy or your regulation says 10%, and that's at 9.7 million that's over there. But because we all voted in June of 2024 that's a number I'm using to set aside, to keep in, reserves. So I just wanted to highlight that number is there because that's a regulation, however you did to all decide to kind of up that number a little bit.
So let me begin the discussion, and this is just something I want this whole board to start thinking of, and have some ideas for next meeting, but maybe, and I'm not a big fan of, nor I probably endorse, using something like this to do something that won't help, the bottom line. So it might be OPEB, it might be additional funding at CAP, it might be putting some extra money towards our pension obligation, something that will over time help reduce our operating expenses and things of that nature. So what I'm asking you, we can open it up now for discussion, is to give it some thought, give it some, and we can have, let's. No, we can talk about the pension, we can talk about OPEB, we can talk about CIP. If you have other ideas, let me know, but I'll open it up now if you have some thoughts you want to talk about it. Jude, I know you're the one who brought it up again to me. Did you have something specific you wanted to mention, or we just want to? I'd like to address this in more detail for next meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just was very interested in getting it on the agenda if we could, so we could start the discussion, because I think it's gonna take a couple of meetings for us to really work through this. And I don't have anything to add to what we have here in front of us right now, as far as potential other uses. But in part of the discussion, maybe also is not only the uses, but maybe we also discuss what we do not want to use it for. I mean, we want to try to wean ourselves off of using it for mill rate purposes. And I think that needs to be a part of the discussion.
Also don't want to lose the entire something, that's for sure, but yeah, John.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad we're talking about this now. I had the opportunity to go to the Beach and Rec special meeting where the consultant was brought in. Seems like a very good selection. I think he's going to work well with the town. But I think when I was leaving that meeting, I was thinking of the dollars that, we're going to be spending on that. And that's not on this sheet. And let's face it, we use this sheet, at least I should say, I'll speak for myself. Considering special appropriations, or when we consider the budget, when we use some money for the operating budget, which I agree we have to wean off of. But we're not looking at that. So all of a sudden what's on the books is undesignated fund balance. To me, I look further and say, well, let's face it, we're going to be doing something down at the surf club before it falls into the ocean. So I know that's going to be a big ticket. That whole project, I don't anticipate it's going to be a one shot. I would think it's going to be multiple different projects, but the fact remains, it's probably going to eliminate what we view here as our undesignated fund balance. And I know we have future tax revenues that are going to be covering that as well. But I think it's something that we have to keep, again, in the back of our minds. The roof at hand, I was kind of surprised at the price of that. And I know there's talk of we're going to be funding that over 5 years. That 11 something million, was it 11.8? Was it?
Oh, that's the total CIP that the Board of Ed.
Yeah.
issued. I think the roof was
It's gotta go through us.
over
Yeah.
3 million in year one.
Yeah.
Offset of reimbursement, but yes, that's all part of CIP.
Right.
Actually, the surf club would be all part of CIP. as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the surf.
John, can I
club for
jump
many,
in for
many
one
years.
second? Even if we did something like that, Stacy, put the money in CIP, and I'm not saying we should or should, I want to be
Yeah.
clear. At least it'll still be earning interest, it'll still be generating revenue, things of that nature. But, I've been adamant, we had this for 4 or 5 years about building this fund balance and not touching it because
Yeah.
we use money off it to reoccur revenue. A good thing, go ahead.
Yeah, and I guess with that roof, the way I read it was, we'll do it over 5 years, but we're doing it in year 3. So we haven't set we won't have all the money set aside. But I think from what I've read, 27, the roof is going to have to be replaced.
I
So,
think, I wanna say last year it was in year 4 or 5. This year what the Board of Ed submitted, and I'm going based on memory, so don't hold me to it. I think they moved it up.
yeah,
And I wanna say it was under $4 million offset. But it is in CIP. We've known about it last year. I think they're pushing it up. To your point, it's
Yeah.
a definite concern. And it is included in the CIP that will come to you all
mhm,
as well. So that is a big ticket item. there.
yeah, I'm kind of shocked at the price, but I guess it is what it is.
There are no funds in CIP for that, is that correct?
Currently, it was in CNRE year 4 or 5. This is this year? This is this year. Right, it was one last year. Okay, so this year they put in year 2. 3.9 million. Last year, I believe it was in year 5. So they moved it up. To your point,
Yeah.
it is a concern. But right now, for what the Board of Ed voted on out of that 11 million, it was almost 3.9. That is in year 2 of the CIP. So it is in there, putting money into CNRE to save for all of these projects. It's one of the many projects, but it is in there and it's been part of the planning document for a couple of years ago.
And refresh my memory, simple question, but capital improvements like that, or say the roof on hand, they don't come out of the Board of Ed 65 plus or minus million, they come out of town capital. But
Not a dumb question, Scott, all right.
that's what I was afraid of.
In the town, listen, you know, I mean, everybody looks at it, so we had 20-something million, you could spend it in a day.
Yeah,
Right, exactly, in a day, especially whether it's a surf over the roofs, or something else on it. But I just wanted to open this discussion, we talked about it, and be mindful, and maybe we say, well, like Tuesday, we're not spending on this, this, and this, or maybe we're gonna keep it for emergency, or hand, or circle, I don't know, I just want this group to start thinking about it, that's what I want, follow us back in.
John, when you're ready, I'd love to just make a comment, obviously.
ahead.
Is that okay?
Yes, go ahead.
So one of the things that we have done in terms of tapping fund balance, because we have such a high fund balance, is we've used it when there's grant opportunities to provide a match for that grant. So I've tried to double our dollars, right? So that's why you see the Scotland Avenue project on there. A lot of the EOC project. So a lot of these, we ended up having to go into fund balance to fund them, because if we had waited in CIP, we never could have done all these projects. So we were trying to be opportunistic and say, if we can get the state, the feds or the state to pay for half of it or a quarter of it, that saves Madison taxpayers in the long run, right? So that's how sometimes these projects come up as like appropriations versus just CIP. So we put them in CIP and we say, okay, we don't have enough funding available in CIP to do it, but let's earmark that for a possible grant. And if we get the grant, it's usually time constrained. So let's tap into the fund balance to match that component. And that way we can get the project done and it doesn't cost the Madison taxpayer 100% of the project. It costs us whatever the percentages is. And we're still going after grants. I want to highlight one of the projects on here, Scotland Avenue. We're hoping now that we might get lots of to pick up all of that. So that $1.1 million that you see on there that is on the possible appropriation list, we're hoping we're not even going to have to ask for it. So we're always looking for those opportunities to try to get these things funded through other sources. But it's important for planning purposes to have it in our planning documents. To apply for a grant, you need to say it's endorsed in our capital improvement plan. That helps us with our grant application. So I just wanted to explain some of that because you'll see things. And I think this is where we struggle a lot, because we have a 5-year plan that we never could do. To John's point, we never be able to fund everything we want to do, but we have to track everything, monitor it. And sometimes some things jump ahead of others because of a failed roof or a problem, or a grant comes up and we want to grab that money now. So we'll pull the project forward. So it's not a perfect system, but that's why we put everything into CIP that we can. And then we try to find other funding sources when we can to help pay for it. And we've been very successful at that. We've gotten $18 million, I think, at this point to help fund town projects by doing that. So it's not that, I think, and that's where people look at this capital plan and they say, oh my God, we're never going to be able to afford all of that. We recognize that. We're just going to use it as a source of things we'd like to do, and then we'll try to find other sources to fund it.
Thanks, Ben. And part of having the assets here on CIP and having the fund balance, we did use, and I have no issue with this, using the revenue off of the reserves to put in the operating budget, because that's reoccurring, and we didn't use all of it, obviously. Any other comments or questions? All right, so you have your homework. All right, anybody from the public would like to speak? Me? Second time here, third time here. Anyone from the public with their hands raised? Taking a motion to adjourn. So moved. Thank you, Don. Take a second. Thanks. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Everyone, meeting's adjourned at 7:41. John, next time I gotta get the memo, we have to wear a suit.